All right, Cage community. I want to thank you in advance for taking some time to watch this. I can tell you right now it's extremely valuable. I've got a great guest, and it's actually the first time I've really done a show like this. It's been quite some time, so I'm excited. We're going to talk about pretty much almost everything digital that you can think of, from the front end to the back end of it. And I've got a special guest and who's also a friend and a business partner of mine. His name is Cody, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself here in just a few moments. But get your pen and paper ready for this one. And I really want you to come here with an open mind and thinking about how you can be in the forefront and how you can be the thought leader in your space amongst your peers in, whether you're a dealer principal, general manager, or a digital marketer, whoever's watching this, come in here with an open mind and think about all the different areas of how we can apply what Cody is going to share us today into our businesses today and in the future. So without further ado, Cody, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll get on to it.
Sounds good, Durran. Pleasure, buddy. Happy to be here. It's been an amazing journey kind of walking alongside with you. Obviously, all the stuff that's going on in our space right now, couldn't be more excited to kind of be a part of this and see where things go in 2024. So a little background on me. I mean, this is year number 20 for me in automotive, right? So, I mean, I've worked outside of automotive as well as inside of it. So I've kind of got both sides of it of seeing kind of what technology is available, where kind of marketing in general has been moving, as well as kind of some of the limitations that we've seen inside of automotive and the restrictions when it came to data sharing and some of the technology that's kind of been kept off the shelf. So I think there's a ton of opportunity right now, and couldn't be more excited. The company is Jive Media, family-owned company. So yeah, pretty straightforward. But yeah, we've been really focused on creative services and video production, user experience, leveraging data to tell a story. I mean, that's been, absolutely at the forefront of what we've been focused on.
Good deal. And so one passion that Cody and I share a lot is about dealership branding. It's huge because it's an area of opportunity that a lot of dealerships don't tap into. And it really connected us through mutual friends who we've met in the past. And it's like, hey, this branding, we've got something here from the beginning all the way to the end. But I'd like to hear from you, like when you think about branding, especially you being in the forefront of content creative as well, what are you seeing out there in our space when it comes to dealership branding, both offline and online?
Yeah, I mean, inconsistency, right? I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing that I see. I mean, from what they have in their letterhead that's, 20 years old to their new version of logos. I mean, you look at manufacturers and what they're changing for requirements. I mean, Nissan's changed their logo of, a handful of times recently, right?
Right.
So you look at stuff like that. I mean, you look at some of the best brands out there, and I mean, you see a headline or a little bit of their creative, and you know right away where it's coming from, right? And when you have a different company that's creating your social ads, that's creating your paid search ads, that's doing your website banners, that's doing your email copy and your CRM stuff, your service drive handout materials, in-store materials, right? All of those things are opportunities to be consistent and on brand. Just the way we're speaking to customers, the tone of our talk tracks, right? I mean, all of those are part of that brand, right? And the experience. And I've rarely seen dealerships go out of their way to really look inward on that and create their own brand standards, which is pretty common within a lot of other marketing. We have a brand guide, right? Just like Toyota would, and we create a brand standard. And if you're going to use our brand anywhere, it fits these requirements and guidelines. And if not, you're no longer going to be a part of the team. So I think branding is absolutely, a game changer when it comes to efficiency and the ability to tell a better story and set the groundwork of what they're going to have for an experience of working with your dealership.
Hands down. And so I want to kind of pivot. It's almost a whole different topic, but as we're getting ready for, and depending on when you're watching this, as we're prepared for NADA and even after NADA, and as we go through 2024 and beyond, is around CDP. And some dealerships don't know what CDP isn't even is. Like when I say CDP to a dealer, like, hey, how do you feel about CDP? Some of them are like, VDP? Yeah. And so talk to us about what the definition of CDP is and what is that going to do for our industry?
Yeah, no, I mean, customer data platform, right? So, I mean, we have CRMs, we have DMSs, we have a lot of siloed data and contact information. A lot of it's inconsistent, it's not normalized, right? So the idea of a CDP is creating a unified set of data for your customers, right? So we can take the DMS, the CRM data, we can layer on additional third-party data on top of it to create a holistic view of Durran in our system, right? So it's going to take all of your transactional data, all of your CRM data. It's going to take your website engagement data, right? So now I know your buying habits. I know the last time I communicated with you. I know what you did on the website, right? So I know all of these touch points. Now I can more efficiently deliver an experience and a message and refine my marketing, right? So you're going to hear CDP, which is just the data side, and then you're going to hear like CDXP, which is the experience part. So customer data experience platform. So a lot of companies have been focused on marketing automation platforms, right? Like, which is what I think a lot of these systems are getting repackaged as. But it's a marketing automation platform. We know this about a customer. Let's take them on a journey through our system, send them an email, put them into a bucket on Google, send them a Facebook campaign. I mean, that's the idea of being able to drip nurture and have a sequence of events that go out to a customer. So that's kind of the nutshell of what a CDP is. I'm a huge advocate of creating consistent data, because without data, what do we have, right? I mean, we're going back for the mass marketing approach, even though we know more about people. So I'm a big fan of that movement. I just don't know if there's a ton of people that have done the hard work to really think through, once we have this data, what do we do with it?
Yeah, and before I get into the next question, it's interesting because we have so much information now, or that will be available to us from a customer standpoint, but we still have to deliver on an experience. Just because we know everything about what somebody's doing, where they're shopping, the salespeople, the leaders, everybody has to be engaged. And so we were talking before this, but what does a customer experience kind of platform look like? We know about the data, but then how do we turn that data into an actual experience?
Yep, for sure. And I think, I mean, it's the hard work, right? It's thinking through that customer journey.
Mhm.
It's identifying what those buckets are when they get into them. Because I mean, a lot of this car shopping is micro moments, right? I mean, they're in their buying window of 15 hours of research, which is over 30 to 60 days, let's say. And then in that one moment, they decide that they're at the right position to reach out to a dealership, right? So we all
Mhm.
know how efficient that is, or how important that is to be able to have that conversation quickly and be able to give them answers and keep them in our ecosystem, right? So look at digital as your opportunity with a CDP and creating that experience that while they're in that 15-hour window of research, that's a lot of time, right? That they're going through different platforms. They're on social, they're doing YouTube research, they're on multiple other websites. So how do we continuously educate them, help and support them through that process across all of these channels? And that's where I think a CDP is super helpful, because it's going to be able to take that website engagement and where they've interacted with us already to be able to say, hey, Durran's already clicked on multiple VDPs in my website. He's also engaged with my Facebook videos over here. He's clicked on my trade tool on my website. Now is the right time to deliver him into the why get your trade appraisal with us, or help support him with the payment process and the options on that side. And then having the transactional data on that side, we understand, what your buying habits have been. We understand typically if you've bought and released vehicles, like we understand your credit score at that point, or have a pretty good idea that. So, I mean, the idea that we're going to be able to send somebody that's buying an $80,000 SUV, banners and images about getting pre-qualified with zero impact to your credit doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So our ability to kind of refine and, get rid of some of the clutter inside of our experiences, especially mobile and stuff like that, to say only prioritize information that really helps support Durran at where he's at in the buying process, and what the next step is and how I can help support him through that.
Yeah, and what's also interesting is it when you think about the CDP, and what you're talking about, what will still then be the importance of trying so hard? When we look at dealerships' website, what would be the importance of trying to do a lead capture so much when a lot of the customers that probably are already shopping on the website, we have a lot of their information, or either maybe it's a repeat shopper that can ping us, or their
Yep.
garage, or whatever that is. But why is it that it's still so important for a lot of dealerships to kind of have what's called that lead magnet? I'm seeing some where it's not calling anybody out, but sometimes where it's a coupon or it's a hidden price, or something. You don't get all this information unless you give them, or unless they give you the information. then the dealer will give that experience. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the idea of getting, I mean, you're seeing Toyota's moving more towards conversational CTAs, less is
Yeah.
more. There can be redundancy inside of your website, limited one pop-up per session, right? I mean, those type of things of just making sure the customer experience is on the forefront, right? So I think lead gen will always be there. I think it's right time, right message, right? So I think being able to use these systems to say, once somebody's already got their trade appraisal, we can remove that from the ecosystem and now put the next piece in the process into it. So really just, and to your point, if I already know kind of what their buying habits are and where they're at in the buying process, just supporting them with a few options for the next step, or being very educational based and value based in the content we're delivering, because we already know we're going to get an at bat with Durran because he's purchased 3 leased vehicles from us in the past. We're most likely going to get another opportunity unless we've done a terrible job. He's proactively shopping on our website. So let's make sure we don't alienate him and give him pop-ups and take him down this $500 discount pathway, because we know that that's not important to him. What's important is that we take care of him at every chance we get, and we deliver a phenomenal experience both through service and sales.
Yes, and so what's so important about that, and I hope the community that's listening to this, and on the sales side, if you're listening to this, why this is so important is because you can actually see the path to purchase with a customer, like literally help them get to where they're trying to go. And so we can get way of that stigma. People know that I do not like those words. What time can you come in? What time can you come in? Because it completely goes against just about any other kind of business out there that's growing. If you look at most of them, they're not asking us when we get online, what time can you come in? Because if that's what we wanted to do, we typically would have called in and done it. But now there's an opportunity to really step in there and ask that customer, hey, I wanted to check in with you. I understand that you might be looking at X, Y, and Z. What's the next step you would like to take, and how can I assist you with that? And so
Yep.
taking that approach, the customer's not like, why is this person reaching out or anything? They're like, okay, this person's here to help me. And that's when that customer might say, hey, I was trying to compare between lease and loan. I'm looking at the residuals here. Which one do you think would be the best option to give me a lower payment? And that's where I see the future of automotive going, to where, kind of like how Cody and I are talking right now, the conversations with our customers are just that, conversations.
Yep.
There shouldn't be near as much selling, because really we're just helping customers get to that next step. So another common theme outside of the branding too that we share is video. So video is really what connected myself to Cody, through David Lewitz, through our good dear friend who passed, Mason McFalls. But video is what led me to that initial connection with David. And so when I think about video, we think so much of video in terms of when we get that customer, that lead, as people would say, we send that video out. I'm a big proponent of that. And then making sure we're doing content on social media. But as Cody and I were talking about before this, the biggest opportunity dealerships have with video is where they have it on their virtual showroom, on their dealership website. And so talk to us about that. Like, what have you seen out there that are some just great best practices on how dealerships can implement video on the forefront rather than just on the backside of it?
Yep, for sure. And I mean, video, we talk about it, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. We hear video's worth a lot more, right? And when you talk
Yeah.
about emotion and be able to sell this, look at the manufacturer's websites, look at everything that you digest before you get to the dealership level. It's all video. It's all exciting. It's all about lifestyle. I mean, it's the thrill of the drive, right? I mean, that's everything that we see. And then once we get down to the dealership level, we basically drop all that, right? We create our same static TV commercials, 300 cars available. It's like, I don't care if you got 300. I just need to know you got the one for me, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just, we create those, seasonally. It's the same creative, and then we get somebody back out because now there's snowfall. We create the same video, right? But when we look at it, to be able to say, when somebody's in that 15 hours of buying right now between social, pre-roll ads, on the website experience, how do I continuously build value in the vehicle, in the dealership, educate them on the process, right? I mean, there's so many things that video can play a role in. So we look at kind of, every dealership right now has a pretty unique marketing stack and solutions and vendors that they have built into their website, right? We don't see a lot of education built into how do I use my website? What tools
Yeah.
are built into my site that help me have more transparency or create a better experience for me? I'm also using this other trade tool that I have on here. What's the advantage and why would I use that and set up expectations? I have a digital retailing tool. How am I educating them on how to go through that process? And at any point, this is a tool that's available for you, but this is by no means an end-to-end solution that you have to go through. We are here to help and support you. Introductions to salespeople, right? I mean, stuff like that, that all gives you a window into the dealership. So now when they are picking up the phone, there's some sense of trust, and they've already had some exposure to you through this entire, research phase that they've gone through. Instead of them going to Cars or Edmunds to be able to see a review on that model in your local market, you can create that content. You
Yeah.
can be at the forefront of showing value and help educating them on why this is a fantastic vehicle for them to choose. So I just think there's so many things from that side that really haven't been looked at and done, because creative's been looked at as a secondary thought. It's always been about how many, what's my cost per thousand? How do I get that same message out to the masses versus being, less volume, but more specific to that customer as they're going through that process to really help support them and educate them and build value in why to do business with me.
Man, that's gold. And so, in going a little bit further deep on video, could you, because now I want to pivot to where you can actually show us some examples
Sure.
of the video content that you produced, and then show us some examples like you showed me before, what we're seeing in the market. Because what I would challenge a dealership to do as we're going through this is pull up your, especially if you're watching this on a computer, but if you're on your phone, it'd be a little bit challenging. But if you're on your phone watching this, go to your own website and take a look at what you currently have. If you're on your laptop, pull up your phone. And as we're going through this with Cody, get a look at your branding, look at the video content, and see, is there an opportunity where you can leverage your brand and your video to create an experience for your store? Because every dealership is different. Every story, every dealership has their own story. They have their own testimonials, their own community service. And so, how are we showcasing that rather than it being buried on an about us page? Because a lot of times that's where it is. Like the pure gold of what a dealership is about, a lot of times is on that about us or why choose us. But how do we integrate that experience for the customer, for the shopper who's actually looking for a vehicle but doesn't want to go all over the website to learn more about that store?
Yep. No, I think that's absolutely correct, right? And then as we look at kind of where there is attention on our website, I mean, we've seen the pivot already. Most people aren't going through the homepage to the why buy from us, to then go into the model showroom to know what vehicle they're looking at, and then go into a search result page and then do a vehicle detail page, right? They don't go through that pathway. And as we look at vehicle listing ads and kind of the dynamic inventory landscape that we have today, like that's what everybody's selling is, I know your inventory, let's put it out to the masses, is people are spending more time on obviously VDPs and SRPs, and those are their first engagements into our brand. So the ability of be able to say, hey, let's tell the story of our dealership, the product, and how to use it. Those all need to be done through those pages and through those channels dynamically, instead of it just being static continuously, right? So I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity from that side. I'll share my screen here, just kind of going top level of what we talked about the video that most consumers are starting with, right? If we're going to take the traditional journey of manufacturer to tier 1 to tier 3 example, I mean, they're going to a model landing page on a website because they saw some TV commercial that was exciting. Everything is graphic, lifestyle, how you're using the vehicle, very, very dramatic type shots, is what we're seeing a lot of. That's Toyota. You're going to see the exact same thing with Honda, right? I mean, it's very much tied into how you could see yourself in that vehicle. And then, kind of what we see from, the normal website experience, right? So, I mean, let's just do a little test here. Give me an example of a manufacturer. Should be a manufacturer.
Let's do Ram 1500. Yeah.
And then give me a city.
All right, let's do Nashville.
Okay. So we're looking for a vehicle and we're looking for a place to buy that vehicle, right? And most of the time, if we wouldn't even include Nashville because we're in that area that we're looking at. So I mean, right now it's just new Ram truck, new Ram 1500, right? And what we're going to see first is obviously going to be the vehicle listing ads, right? So this is that example we just talked about. about what really differentiates these vehicles when I'm looking at them is going to be price, right? I mean, there's a reason why we keep coming back to price, and that's the first thing we keep slapping people with is here's vehicles. They all have four wheels and they go from A to B, but one of them is going to be the difference of $30,000 more than the next one, right? So normally at the dealership, what do? We show them options, features, we get them excited about it. We make it emotional. Now for X amount more per month, you could get yourself the sunroof or the leather interior, the updated package, right? But when we go to a digital level, it's very much built around price. So let's just go into, without having to click on this one, let's go into Steve Jones Chrysler here. So in case he's watching, he's not mad that we spent some of his ad dollars, right? So now
He's
we're
got
gonna
good Google reviews. Great job, Steve Jones. I don't know you personally, but great Google reviews. That look good.
So now we're going to go right into the VDP experience, which is where most of these people are going to land. They did that search. They're clicking on that specific vehicle. They go right into that detail page, right? So now we've lost all of that video excitement. Tell me, let's show this thing going up some rocks. Like, how are you using this vehicle, right? So what we have available with all of this data that lives out there is I got a pretty good idea of if Durran's shopping for this vehicle. I can look at Google and Facebook to know what kind of interest level he has. I know within my system of how he typically purchases a vehicle. So now I can really refine this entire experience to be built around, hey, Durran, here's some exciting things you didn't know about this vehicle. Or did you know the next step up has some awesome features, right? So this is where we see a huge opportunity in the space right now to leverage the VDPs and SRPs to be a better, a more beneficial, part of the process right now of educating and supporting the consumer and making an educated decision, giving them options to say, hey, by the way, you're looking at this 23 Ram 1500. Did you know that we have a certified option? Did you know that we have 20 other used vehicles available, right? Because with this model right now, the way it works is if I'm not seeing the vehicle, I might go down here to similar vehicles. If I don't go there, I'm going back to Google and I'm just clicking on the next vehicle, right? So Google is continuously getting paid over and over again to drive them back. So as we look at like from an efficiency standpoint, how do we keep somebody in our ecosystem? How do we give them as many options as possible? How do we educate them every step of the way? So if somebody comes back to my website 10 different times, they're seeing 10 different tidbits of why to do business with me, or why I have a fantastic product, or why right now is a great time to buy. So they're getting parts of that story every time they engage with our brand.
Wow.
So this would be an example of, kind of bare bones what we're seeing across the market with every one of these. I mean, we'll do one more here. Beeman Chrysler. Just so it's not a cherry picked option here.
Right.
Let's go into same thing, a couple clicks away here, right? Go into the model, Ram 1500, allow them to track me, right? So I mean, some of these sites you would have had 3 pop-ups by now. So we're landing on that specific vehicle. I mean, same website platform, it's on Durran, right? So if I'm in this same market right now, what have I seen different between A dealership and B dealership?
These literally look like the exact same store. I literally just checked to see, but it's very similar, and it's not to their fault. So I don't want if
not
they
at all.
watch this, I'm like Durran's being no. It's just that because I understand that through certain partnerships you have to use certain providers and those certain providers. So, but carry on.
But I mean, it's just that from a customer standpoint right now, what would be the one thing that I can differentiate these dealerships by? And it's going to be price, right? For the most part, that's really the one thing I'm looking at, right? Similar vehicles, but now you start looking at, all right, well, they're talking about why they're different, right? Good deeds, better people, right? I mean, so now in that one moment that I've interacted with their website, now that is one thing I could look at and say, well, these guys, maybe they don't love cats as much. Right. And as subtle as that is, right, it's still something that will now allow me to differentiate the brand. Right. And now imagine that being tailored to, well, Durran's a dog person. Durran has kids. Durran has an affinity with this other organization in the community. Right. Because people want to buy from people that they like and trust. Right. And have similar interests as them. Right. So that's the idea of being able to say, hey, it's the exact same vehicle. It's the exact same, shell of a website. But how do I make incremental changes that allow me to stand out and support the customer as they're going through this process? So that's one example of kind of what we see that's, kind of blanketed across the entire space right now. We've only got so many places that we put content in. A lot of these website providers are going to limit us on what we can add and where we can add it, as well as manufacturers, right? But now we'll kind of take them down a little bit of a different experience. This is an example of a Nissan store, right? And what we're building into it right now. So we've put the phone number up top here. So obviously it's a focal point. If they want to contact us, it's very much in front of them. They're seeing a lease offer that's built specifically to the vehicle that they're currently looking at. So that's one option for them. They're going to see the video right here of the technology, the manufacturer content, right? The excitement, all the stuff that we talked about. Say it's got paddle shifters, it's got the alloy wheels we're looking at, it's got the moonroof, right? So it gives them another consideration. Instead of them reading through paragraphs of text, they're going to be able to see the same exciting, already created content for you, right? We're going to talk to them about their digital retailing tool and educating them a little bit on why this is an option for them to consider. We've got some additional discounts built into the VDP here to know that, hey, we've got some low APRs available, as well as there is a specific vehicle that has up to $1,400 off it. If you'd like to see that aged vehicle or one we need additional eyeballs on, right? We're able to capitalize off all of our Ultima pages to drive attention to maybe one that we need some assistance moving. We're also building Google reviews into these pages. So now you're not just seeing a general, you'll see a lot of times where it has the vehicle review on it, right? So you'll go to you'll be like, it's got 3 out of 5 stars, right? Or it's 5 stars, but it's based on the vehicle, not based on the experience I'm going to get with the dealership. So what we've done is we've filtered down the reviews to show what vehicle they're already looking at. So if they're looking at an Ultima, we're going to show reviews of other customers that have purchased an Ultima from us that had a great experience working with us. So creating that commonality between what you're looking at and customers that have also purchased this product from you in the past. So this would be an example of a updated vehicle detail page. We've also got our search result pages, right? So as somebody now is kind of starting that, like, hey, show me the Ultima, how do we give them additional value and considerations while they're shopping through our SRPs? So flagship offers, again, hey, by the way, it includes our Advantage program that we offer that's unique to us. It has this fantastic safety technology built in with the Honda Safety Shield. And then also let's get them interior. Let's show them something exciting about the inside of the vehicle, because everything that we show them is typically exterior. So how do we get them to look inside the cabin and get a look and feel for what they're going to be sitting in every day if they were to purchase this vehicle? So those are just some of the ways that we're building some content into the websites. But yeah, any of this content, let's go, kind of one step further, just real quick, in the different kinds of content, right? So we looked at the general video that we just created, right? That was the manufacturer commercial, right? But now let's say that somebody else is coming onto the website and we want to support them, and you're making a fantastic decision in the vehicle you're looking at, right? I want to support you that you're making the right choice here. This would be an example of a video that we created that does that.
Excellent choice on the Nissan Altima, where power meets efficiency. Indulge yourself in a drive that is truly adaptive and responsive to you and your journey. This month, the savings are on at Roundtree More Nissan. Take advantage of these low rates and great discounts on select and stock.
So build value in them making the right decision. Another example would be their Advantage program.
Step into the world of exclusive benefits with Roundtree More Nissan Advantage. At Roundtree More, we understand your needs. Whether you're eyeing a new Nissan, a pre-owned.
So help them with why we're different and what this package includes. And this would be an example of the
Curious about the market value of your vehicle? Discover its value in just 10 seconds. With just 2 easy steps, you can bypass the exhaustive research and uncertainty. First, visit RoundtreeMoreNissan.com. Then, simply enter your vehicle's details.
So help supporting them through that process. Every time they come back to a different page or a different vehicle, or through our search result pages, through our YouTube channel, through our pre-roll ads, through our social, every one of these becomes an opportunity for us to educate and support that customer as they're going through this buying process.
Wow. So I've got a lot of notes from this. What I think of, if I'm a customer, even if I was a customer watching this, but from a customer standpoint, what I like is this kind of gives me a good feel of how I normally would shop for something. When you're on Amazon, and not to plug them or anything like that, or even, it doesn't matter, any of the retailers, a lot of the top retailers, if we pulled out our phones and looked at them, they kind of have that experience from the reviews, from the videos, from even customer reviews. And Cody and I talked about this before, right? So there's an example. You've got people, you got examples of people enjoying the product that you're looking at getting. And we're in that society now, right? A lot of us, before we'll do anything, we typically will check with somebody else. I just texted, I think, Cody the other day about something I was looking for in our automotive space. Hey, who would you recommend for this? 100% of my business has come from somebody asking somebody else, who would you recommend for online sales experience and CRM training or something? Durran Cage. But because somebody either had that experience or they already worked with me before, and they know what they're going to get with that. And so I love on the website that it's got that experience. And the other thing that I noticed that I have written on my paper a lot of times is educate. And we said this before our show, most of us, we're not selling anymore. We're giving an experience through education. That's what it's all about, because nobody really needs to be sold with as much information as in there, but it's just educating your customers. And I love what you said about educating people on how to use the website, because most dealership websites are not as simple as what we're looking at right now. Shout out to Marky Mark here, but most of them aren't this simple. But the cool thing is it can be. And I love that you have this pulled up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the other models that are in our space. I mean, Carvana, right, where it's like we've got one CTA on our vehicle page, right? Like it's get started. That's the only thing. You're giving them options for some payment and stuff like that are built down here. But I mean, it's that message at the right time as they're coming through similar vehicles. But I mean, keep this consistent, keep it simple, right? Help and support them, because I think what we do a lot of times where we have inconsistent CTAs, we have different solutions that are all trying to cannibalize the same opportunities so they can show I'm getting you the X number of leads. And so if you look at your mobile device, look at some of these different experiences, they're all showing up on top of each other. Right. It's a race to lead versus it's a race to create a phenomenal experience. Right. So you've always heard that, hey, when I show up on the lot right now and some guy's running out to meet me at my car versus when I come in and welcoming and asking how I can assist you, those are completely different experiences. And I feel like when you look at what we're doing digitally right now, we are in a race to open their door for them with 5 guys on each side right now, trying to say, how can I get this deal? And what's your credit score? And how much do you have to spend versus what are your needs and how do I help you with that? So as we look at kind of this video content, it's the ability to help educate them and support them when they aren't necessarily asking for it, right? So we're leaning out and we're giving them information and resources that nobody else is, right? So it gives us an at bat, whether they're buying from us or not, they're going to be like, well, hey, I didn't know that was an option. I didn't understand that. And when they go to these other websites, when they're going from A to B to C, they're going to start feeling some difference, right? That's what our buddy Herb Anderson always talks about, right? When an experience is a feeling, right? Which I think is absolutely on point, right? And so when you look at like the manufacturer content, when you look at every one of these moments that we have the opportunity to kind of help and support somebody, that's a feeling that I would get that somebody cares more than the other person, or at least they just care and maybe the other person does as well, but I'm not going to know that as I'm going through my research. So I look at all of these as being those micro moments to assist somebody and support them and educate them. Because I mean, who doesn't want a more educated consumer when they come in? And again, when we talk about everything we're doing digitally, what we're doing with a lot of these tools is giving them as much information as possible, which only gives us the option to talk to them about price, right? So we've created such transparency from that side that what else is there for our team to help them with, which creates a whole nother dynamic,
This is good. I'm excited and encouraged for the dealerships that see this and they see the opportunity that they have. And we could have pulled up 10,000. This was not planned in terms of the stores that we picked or anything like that. But most dealerships, I think we'd all agree, sometimes we get, I don't want to say pigeonhole, but we kind of get put into a place where there's not as much that we think we can do with our website. We think that we have to compete on price alone. And we all know that competing on price alone will not work. But if we can compete on our experience and brand that we showcase on our website and use the digital tools that we have available, but keep it as simple as possible, there's an opportunity for everybody to win here. Because at the end of the day, I think most of us, especially those of you that are still listening to this, it means that you believe in a better experience for our shoppers, or you're already delivering a great experience, but you want to take that thing to the next level. We'll do it kind of like what brought myself to Cody is what I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, is it's one thing for me to tell a dealership how important it is to give that great experience, make sure that we're sending videos, make sure we're asking the right questions. But it's just equally important, if not more, to make sure that they're getting that experience before they even connect with your team. Because
Yeah.
over time, and I love what you said, because it took me back to my selling days. And most of us can appreciate this. If you've been selling longer than 20 years, you don't greet people and say, let me get your name, information. Okay, let me plug you in my system. Now let's talk. Could you imagine? Like nobody would do that. You greeted somebody, you created a conversation, you shook their hand or whatever it is that you do. And then it kind of went, and then you put their information in after, at some point during the process. But it's kind of like now, to Cody's point, it's almost as if customers are coming in on these websites and it's like, we're not talking to you. Give me your information first. And
Yep.
that's not a good experience. And I think most of us, if we take off our dealership hats and put on our customer hats, how many platforms would we get into right now, whether it's to buy a pair of shoes, whatever it is that we're going to buy, how many of us would actually within the first minute or two give our information away just to be able to get something? Most of us would not. We protect our information. So why would we ask a customer to do the same?
Well, and the ones that are willing to give it are the ones that you probably don't want anyways, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, it's the double-edged sword, right? When we have that get pre-qualified or no impact to your credit and all of that jazz that's in there, it's like, yeah, is it turning up your leads? Sure. What's your closing percentage, right? Are they the right customers, right? And I'm not saying that people that have challenged credit, there's not opportunity there. It's just we
Yeah.
should be having that conversation on the places in inventory that matches the intent. And so the ability as well that we put those customers, say we couldn't get you approved today, does not mean that you're not going to be a customer ever and I need to neglect you and put you in the side bucket over here. I should continuously be branding and put you in a different kind of life cycle journey with us, because we know that there's seasons with this stuff, right? So I mean, I don't want to miss that at bat and opportunity. I just don't want to open our doors to a bunch more of it that our sales team is going to then get complacent. You know how that goes, right? I'm not closing any of these. None of these guys spent 5 hours with them. I couldn't get them approved. Right. So all of a sudden they're taking their eye off every ball because it's like, I'm only looking for those very low funnel, lease return, the 95 out of 100 for the automotive mastermind lists and stuff like that. Right. The low hanging fruit and they neglect the other 95% of the audience that we have to be able to still build awareness, trust, affinity. So yeah, I mean, I think it's an absolute opportunity. I love how we've talked about how it connects kind of the entire life cycle, right? Because most of these things we focus on the sales side, right? And so video, I think, is super important to be able to tell a story. I mean, you're seeing an example here of how we're building video into search result pages even. I mean, this stuff has not been done, right? If any of you are using a Dealer Inspire website, I challenge you to ask them to be better and keep them more engaged and ask for some innovation, because if we don't, we will get the same, right? And so these are just examples. If you're looking at it, you're going to see a different set of banners, a different experience for every one of these models. You go between an Envision, you go to a Murano, every one of these has different content built inside of it that builds value in those vehicles. Because if you look at like a Chevy mix, we've got everything from a Corvette to an Equinox. Those are not the same customer. There is different features. There's different things we can tell that story to. So I think that's a huge opportunity. But kind of going back to the video side, we talk about service as well, right? And setting up expectations post sale. So one of my biggest things is we talk about identifying opportunities in the service drive, right? And I look at that first visit, the second visit. Most dealerships don't spend a lot of energy on those because they've already sold that customer something. They're already set for a eight oil change, tire rotation, plan. They're going to come back, right? Mm-hmm. But why are we not focusing on supporting that customer when they come in to say, are you getting the most out of your vehicle? Is there anything else I can assist you with to make sure that they're advocates of our brand and that they truly love the vehicle that they're in, right? We only focus on when we can get something out of the equation versus when we can give something, right? And I think that's a big miss, right? So I think that's a huge side of it. And then when we talk about the customers that we do have the opportunity to actually get something from, I would love to move you into a trade. Your vehicle is very, or to buy your vehicle is very much in demand. I'd love to have it in my fleet and I have a vehicle I could put you in. We start that process at the dealership, right? So you're going to come in, Durran sitting there for a couple hours. By the way, you get a text notification. Would you be interested in trading in your vehicle? Well, from my perspective, that should have started a week ago. And we should be telling Durran about all the fantastic features that are on the new vehicle that he didn't know existed. Let's make it emotional again. Let's get him to buy in. Now he's got 2 hours of time. Why don't I go sit in that vehicle? Why don't you show me that adaptive cruise control? I didn't know it had hands-free driving, right? Let's get back to some excitement in this process. And nurture them, and then they can ask questions, right? But that shouldn't start when you've got 2 hours in the service drive. They haven't prepared for that process. So I think that's a huge opportunity, setting up expectations when you're in there. How can I help support you? All the way to deferred service. You deferred service, this is very important, whether you do it with us or not. Would love that at bat. So I think creating that consistent content video throughout your entire journey is an absolute must. The CRM side, to your point, of every bit of that is your brand, right? And those are opportunities that your customer sees you and says, I like working with them, or I don't.
Yeah, and just imagine, and to piggyback on that CRM aspect of it, imagine from a CRM standpoint, this design, this creative that you see, imagine that being part of your follow-up. Imagine that being part of your campaigns that you send out, and then your customers see this. You see how all this is connected in terms of branding and providing an experience that even after a customer does submit an online request for something, imagine giving this kind of rich feel that has a combo of video, right? Has a combo of some images and then a combo of some reviews. So everything is staying consistent, because what we don't want to do is somebody goes through an experience like this, and then once we receive that customer request, it's right off the bat, hey, did you want to fill out an app real quick? Or hey, what time can you come in for a test drive? It won't connect. So everything has to be, when we're looking at a brand and we're looking at the experience, it all goes from the before, the during, and the after. Because even the after, to Cody's point, think about when we're introducing the service. What does that experience look like? How innovative is that? Does it make sense? Is it going to the right customers? What about the people that live 500 miles away? Are we still sending them that same experience, or have we set up the right rules to make sure that the right people get the right message? And the more that this, we were coming up with all kinds of different acronyms, but the more that this is the personalized experience for your customers, the easier the experience is going to be on your employees,
Yep. Totally agree, right? I mean, that consistency and the education side, right? So I understand what the next steps are. I come into service, I already have this time slotted out, so we look at one of the main things we're hearing now is the ability to pay for service, right? So, I mean, you're getting a lot of people right now that I came in for $200 in maintenance on my vehicle, and you're hitting me with a $2,000 bill to potentially do some service on my vehicle, right? Now, I'm not prepared for that. So how do we make sure that we give people the options to say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but Sunbit has some financing options for service ahead of time, right? And you're giving these through these channels that don't feel super invasive, right? It's not like I'm sell you something, Durran. It's just when I was on Facebook or I was doing something on YouTube the other day, I saw that a great kind of wise service or some general branded story about ABC dealership. And by the way, they talked about how they have financing options available, and you can pay as low as $59 a month, and it's no impact on your credit. So at least I know that that's an option, and I've been educated on it pre-moment of need, right? Because now we all know how that feels. I need to sell you something. Well, do I really know that I need that service? And it's $2,000. Now I got to sit here for another hour and a half, right? I mean, that's invasive, right? Versus it feeling like you're just supporting and helping me and giving me options. So I think all of that being tied together, you're providing a service versus, trying to sell them something. The barrier is down. Because at the end of the day, the more that we can create that transparency and that trust, I mean, we will create loyal advocates of our brand that will continuously come back. And now this doesn't become price again. It becomes on every chance that you had to do the right thing by me, or at least help and support me, you were there for that. Right now, I'm willing to pay more. We all know about brands that you're willing to pay more for because they're some social cause. It's giving back to another organization in your community, or you just know they take care of their customer or their employees and they pay more, and their families are supported, right? I mean, what is it? 1 out of every 7 people in the United States is tied to the automotive industry, right? I mean, these are opportunities for us to make real change and help and support the sales team, the service team, everybody along the journey that now can benefit from not angry customers, happy experiences instead of these the normal ones we're used to hearing about. So.
Well, I'm fired up about this, and I know a lot of owners, GMs, dealers, even salespeople were probably engaged about this as well. So, what's the next step for them? How could they connect with you, Cody, to learn more and see if this could be a good fit for their store and for their website.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to touch on one quick point before we go over that. So
Sure.
we talked a lot about CDPs, data, creative, video, right? But one thing we really didn't talk a lot about is, once we have this data, how do we deliver a personalized experience, right?
Oh, wow.
So we looked at inside of the website right now, this would be the same customer coming in for every experience. What we're going to look at now is the same customer coming in. The only variable is going to be now that we know they're in a loyalty equity position, right? So that same customer now comes in out of our CRM, out of our Facebook, our Google campaigns, because we know what kind of situation they're in. And now all of the content that we have inside of this website becomes dynamic, right? So now they're seeing a trade-in bonus instead of seeing the lease offer. They're seeing a different video inside of here. That's the one that we looked at that's helped supporting them with the next step of the process. They're now getting the buyback instead of getting the bypass, the digital retailing, because we would love to give them an option to be able to purchase their vehicle for cash, or obviously trading it in, but giving them education and options on that side. They're now seeing a $2,000 loyalty bonus instead. So all of the stuff that you see inside of the website, let's look at defining buckets, and let's look at how we can help support people inside of your entire ecosystem, right? The website is a very important part of that. But these same bits of content and information are what we put out on Facebook, that we put out on Google, we put out on YouTube, so that no matter where somebody is right now, we're supporting them based on where they're at in the process. So we talked a little bit before about CTAs, right? So my opinion of that is if the CTAs become dynamic, we don't need the same CTAs all the time, right? So once somebody gets their trade appraisal in a 30, 60-day window buying cycle, they don't really need to know what their vehicle is worth anymore. And so that data would be stored inside of that CDP. We'd understand that they've already clicked engaged, gone through that pathway. Now that same positioning on our mobile site and our desktop gets replaced with what's the next step in the process, right? So it's not redundant. It's not telling you continuously and taking up space for something you've already taken action on. So I look at, where we're moving now is there's a lot of companies focusing a lot of time and energy on centralizing data, which I think is absolutely important. I think if you look at kind of their execution of that, it's going to be emails, and it's going to be dynamic inventory ads. It's going to be pop-ups and stuff like that, because that's what we have available. But if you look a little bit more inward to what's our origin story, what differentiates us, how can I help and support and educate you on how to use my website and our process? That's the difference of, I think, where more progressive dealerships are going to understand the value of really leveraging that data to tell a better story. So I just want to touch on that a little bit, because I don't think there's anybody that's really kind of going down this pathway yet of personalizing based on the data we have. So even the lifestyle stuff, it's the same Ram 1500 truck we talked about, but I know that Durran tows with his, and the next person's living in a metro area doesn't tow at all. That creative becomes completely different. It's lifestyle based. He's got a family, the next person doesn't. It's going to be more business versus it being family features, right? Let's talk about cup holders, right? So all that stuff becomes dynamic and be able to tell a different stories. So I'm super excited about this. This has been a crusade that we've been on for, quite some time on trying to move the needle on better creative, better storytelling inside of the automotive space. So yeah, I mean, if you want any more information, I mean, feel free to reach out to Durran. Give me a call anytime. Text me, call me. Phone number is 320-250-7455. Yeah, happy to talk to anybody in the space. I mean, this is something that it's not going to be one company coming in and be able to change this. It's going to take a group of us like-minded individuals that want to really bring something innovative and helpful and support this industry move forward. So.
And I want to say this because it's just like the light bulb went off in my head, because one of the things that I'm known for in our industry is taking sometimes either something that could seem too complex and breaking it down to the simple. And what this reminded me of at the end, what Cody you just shared, is when I was a Chrysler rep. So most people don't know this, but I was a Chrysler rep from 2007 to 2008. That's what took me from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Memphis, Tennessee. But when I came out here as a rep, and they still do this now, they used to do this thing called business in a box. And all that is where the OEM, so I worked for Chrysler at the time, that's what they were called, and it changed like 20 different names. But all that meant was they would send the reps a bunch of like poster boards and flyers and balloons and all of this stuff, or they send it to the dealership. And so what we would do is we'd go to that store and we'd get everything ready, whether it was Memorial Day, Labor Day, and you'd make the whole showroom have this cool look and feel for that theme. And that was the coolest thing. Like, it just, you could watch customers come in and it felt good.
Yep.
But imagine if that business in the box back then, the showroom could change for every single customer that walked in. Like,
Yep.
imagine what that would be like. Oh, here comes Cody walking in the showroom, redo the whole showroom. So then that way, what brought him in, that's the whole experience he sees. And that's exactly what Cody just showed us that you can do from a digital level. So imagine every customer that you have having a unique experience off of a campaign that you sent. Instead of it being a business in a box, it's a customer experience in a box, so that their look and feel that they get the experience is so much different than somebody else that clicked on an ad that was towards, XYZ car versus another person who did ABC truck. They land on that site and they now have this same consistent experience. And so for the
Yeah.
dealers that remember those days and they want that back, you can do it now. And it's the much more fraction at the cost. Imagine redoing your showroom for every customer that walked in like, uh-oh, here comes Samantha. Let's go ahead and make everything look like a Nissan Maxima.
Bring the new
But now,
truck because he likes hamburgers, right?
yeah. So it's really cool. And so I thank Cody and his team for their time. And I'm excited to what we're going to be able to do together, because that's what, for any dealership that's looking to win, it's about connecting, and having strategic partnerships, as Cody and I were just talking about. The more that the partners and the people that you have aligned with your business as a dealership, the quicker that you can scale and move at speed, versus if you've got 10 different partners doing 10 different agendas and 10 different things, it won't work. But aligning yourself with the partners that are all rowing in the same direction that dealership wants to go. Like, that's the most important thing. Where do you want to go and how do you want to get there? And then have the right partners to be right there on your side to leverage that. So this was great. I'm excited, and we'll make sure that the number is included with this information under the videos, and then also with the emails that goes out to the Cage community. So
I just had one more thing. I mean, as you talked about the showroom, I mean, we look at the website as being kind of sometimes the end goal, right? But we look at, imagine now that showroom experience, the billboard they drive by when they go home, that direct mail piece, right? We talk about OTT and connected TV, right? That same audience that we have inside of that CDP is what drives all of those experiences, right? So now you're able to capture the right people. So instead of saying, hey, capture Durran on the way home, now put a billboard up, right? Or said, this all gets tied together. So how do we tell that holistic story? How do we support that customer? Less is more, I think, as we move into 2024 and the next few years here. It's going to be, the right message at the right time and personalized. And I think we can finally get there with what we have kind of going on in the space. So couldn't be more excited. Happy to kind of be walking alongside you with this. You've been a great resource to kind of, enlighten me on the process side and the sales side and the dealership side. So couldn't be more excited about aligning ourselves with some people that want to be a part of this. So
likewise. Well, thank you so much, Cody. Thank you all that shared your time with us. Until next time, take care.
see you, bud.